Hi, here we are again in the Florida room for another chat on biology, and today we have the book by Darcy Thompson on growth and form. And Darcy Thompson was a noted biologist, and really he was a theoretical biologist and mathematician, and he was born in the 1800s, and this book was written in 1917. And I'm fascinated with it because I'm interested in tissue engineering for breast reconstruction. And Darcy Thompson tried to explain that biology is shaped not only by natural selection, but also by physics. And when he speaks about cells and cell biology, I'm turning here to the chapter of the cell theory. He has some interesting things to say about the surface tensions and forces that help shape cells and tissues. I'm just going to read a sentence or two. It is far from correct to say, as is often done, that the cell wall or cell membrane belongs to the passive products of protoplasm rather than to the living cell itself. On the contrary, it is quite certain that the surface of the cell is the seat of important forces, capillary, electrical, which play an essential part in the dynamics of the cell. And so that's kind of interesting because now you're starting to think of a physical world affecting tissues. And he goes on later in the next page over to say that comparative embryology, says Whitman, reminds us at every turn that the organism dominates cell formation, using for the same purpose one, several, or many cells, massing its material and directing its movements and shaping its organs as if the cells did not exist. So this is looking into the mystery of how it's mysterious enough how we go from sperm and egg to a single new cell, but then to go to multitudes of cells that are specialized and then they organize themselves into tissue. I mean, that's a whole order of magnitude more complex. And then he goes on later in the page to say, we then deal not with material continuity, not with little bridges or connecting protoplasms, but with a continuity of forces, a comprehensive field of force, which runs through the entire organism and is by no means restricted in its passage to a protoplasmic continuum. What he's saying there is that the cells are really united in one tissue. And such a continuous field of force, there he says it again, field and force, a force field, somehow shaping the whole organism independently of the number, magnitude, and form of the individual cells, which enter like a froth into its fabric, seems to me certainly obviously to exist. And that's what I want to talk to you about, froth and fabric. So what I'd like to do is, with a little illustration, make something that's very complex simpler. And what we have here is a synthetic shower sponge, and that's the fabric. And here we have some shower soap. That's the froth, because when you add soap to the shower sponge, you get a froth of soap bubbles. And I'd like to draw a Componimento Inculto, as Leonardo da Vinci called them, using the bubbles to stand for the cells and the shower sponge to stand for the tissue substrate or extracellular matrix. So here we are in the kitchen to do a little demonstration, and we have this synthetic shower sponge that's going to represent the extracellular matrix of proteins that are the scaffolds that cells live on and are attached to. And we have some shower soap here. And so what I'm going to do, if you look closely, I'm going to run some water, because living things are mainly water. And then I'm going to simply put a few cc's of soap. And I want you to watch carefully, because very quickly the whole thing is engulfed in suds on all surfaces. So how is it that quickly traveled throughout every part of this sponge has soap suds in just a few seconds? And this is what reminded me of Darcy Thompson's talking about a froth and about a fabric, because our extracellular matrix proteins are the fabric that our bubble cells live on in a froth, but they're united in one purpose as a tissue. And I think it's kind of magical.